Native people, Native culture, Native knowledge. Hi, I'm Jeannie Green, bringing you award-winning Heartbeat Alaska.
Bringing you national and international Native news, this is award-winning Heartbeat Alaska, the premier Native voice in Native programming.
There's a heartbeat louder than thunder. Revolution is in the air. There's a heartbeat deep inside our mother. Are you too cool?
Now, with Heartbeat Alaska, here's Jeannie Green.
Hello, welcome to Heartbeat Alaska Native News and Native Information and Native Entertainment. And by the way, thank you so much for all the telephone calls I received last week on our program with Rita Coolidge and Walela and the Morning Prayer Song. Heartbeat Alaska's Native News just for you. If you know an entertainer and you want to see on Heartbeat Alaska, give us a call. This week we traveled to the Aleutian chain, way out on the separate islands of St. Paul. Next week we visit the island of St. George. St. Paul, Alaska, a world-famous seal rookery, and also a home of many wonderful people. And we'll get to visit some of those people today. Here's John Active with Native News across the country. Seems like John's either out subsistence, hunting and fishing, or doing the news. Here he is now with our news.
Alaska is brought to you in part by the Division of Alcoholism and Drug Abuse and the Alaska Council on Prevention of Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Together, preventing substance abuse statewide.
And by Ute Air Alaska, official airlines of Heartbeat Alaska. Ute Air Alaska, taking you home.
Thank you, Jeannie. It's sure good to be back in the studio again next to the Camel Creek here. I heard there was a moose out there. Lucky I wasn't here because moose hunting season started the 1st of August. Welcome to Native News across the country. First of all, from Vancouver, British Columbia. Talk about persistence. After 111 years, the Nisga'a Indians are ready to sign a historic treaty giving them land, cash, and self-government. But many British Columbians don't share their joy, and they contend that history of this magnitude should be made only by voters' consent. This historic treaty is expected to be ratified and will be the first time this century for any of the 51 Indian communities in British Columbia. Unlike in the rest of Canada, treaties in the Pacific Coast province were not signed during colonization. The province's two opposition parties are demanding a referendum on the treaty, which will cost taxpayers more than $200 million and likely will serve as a blueprint for settlements with many other tribes. British Columbian Premier Glenn Clark has rejected the call for the referendum. Next, the treaty must be ratified by the Nisga'a Parliament and British Columbia's legislature, and all are expected to approve the document later this year. The treaty would give Indians $126 million in cash over 15 years, plus title to 745 square miles in the rugged Nass Valley in northwestern British Columbia. The treaty also provides the Nisga'as with the right to self-government and the authority to make laws governing their own affairs. It also would provide for a Nisga'a justice system with its own judges, police force, and jails. Part of the settlement would call for the return of about 250 Nisga'a artifacts from museums in Hull, Quebec, and Victoria, British Columbia. The treaty's critics say the 100 or so non-Nisga'as living in the territory will become second-class citizens, excluded from voting for tribal governments. From Southwest Alaska, according to a Bureau of Vital Statistics report released last month, the highest birth rate in Alaska are recorded in a region comprising the lower Yukon River and the nearby Bering Sea coast. In that area, called the Wade-Hampton Census District, the annual birth rate is 34.1 births per 1,000 residents, more than twice the state average of 16.5. In the Bethel census area, which covers the Kuskokwim drainage from the coast up to Lime Village, the birth rate is 25.2 per 1,000, the fourth highest in Alaska. That's a fraction behind the Nome and Northwest Arctic districts. The Delta's birth rates have increased population in most of the area's villages. Not everywhere in the Delta is growing, though. Many upriver villages have experienced population declines in the past 2 decades, and downriver, only 2 villages have lost population. Here's some interesting statistics. The Bethel and the Wade-Hampton census districts contain 19,920 natives, 2,394 whites, 88 blacks, and 105 Asians and Pacific Islanders. Nearly 1 out of every 5 of Alaska's natives live in the YK Delta. Add my niece's newborn baby boy, that makes, let's see, in my hometown of Bethel, 5,278 residents now in Bethel. I'll be right back after these messages. Do I hear a moose running?
Welcome to a very special place, the Chugach Heritage Center in Seward, a place where the rich culture of the Chugach people is presented in a unique environment, where legends of the past are brought to life in colorful performances.
I needed the younger people, our future, to make that connection with our past, which are the elders, and save who we are.
Very, very impressive show.
I just loved the show. It was really wonderful.
It's absolutely a must for you to see.
I'm proud that we have a place now where we can show our heritage and teach other people besides just our own culture.
For a truly remarkable experience, visit the Chugach Heritage Center in Seward, where exciting performances and unique exhibits take you beyond the legends.
Welcome back from Washington, D.C. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright said last month U.S. foreign policy must take into account the interests of American Indians and other indigenous groups, including issues such as tribal rights and natural resources. The United States, with 5 indigenous groups under its jurisdiction, those are being the American Indians, Alaska Natives, Native Hawaiians, American Samoans, and Chamorros, should serve as the model nation on indigenous rights, said Daniel Akaka, a Democrat of Hawaii. Albright and Akaka spoke recently at a conference at the State Department in D.C. on July 14th. The conference was held to discuss American Indian and Alaska Native issues. From Unalakleet residents had reason to celebrate when their new $2 million fish plant was dedicated recently. The plant features automatic tote lifters, a state-of-the-art slime line for heading and filleting fish, a 50,000-pound flash freezer, and more than 250,000 pounds of cold storage capacity. The new plant will be operated by Native Village of Unalakleet, which stands on land leased from the Norton Sound Economic Development Corporation. The plant will produce vacuum-packaged salmon, smoked salmon fillets, and will provide custom processing services to visiting fishermen who want to process their own sports catch from the Unalakleet River. It will also double as a shop for villagers to butcher meat. Finally, don't eat them rabbits, the dead ones that is. Several cases of tulmarema, an infectious disease carried by snowshoe hares, have been reported at different veterinary clinics around Fairbanks and North Pole. Tularema is a disease that can be passed on to cats and dogs and even humans. Snowshoe hare populations run on a 10-year cycle that peaks in the final year. It's said that population is near a peak now and could mean an increase in tularema infections. Tularema is transmitted among snowshoe hares by red and gray ticks that attach themselves to the hare's ears and head. Remember, don't eat them rabbits your cats or dogs drag home this summer. The disease in both animals and humans is treated with simple antibiotics. Well, we hope the ticks don't get into the moose because it's the moose season. Thank you for listening. I'm John Active.
Let's travel now to the beautiful community of St. Paul, Alaska. St. Paul is one of the Pribilof Islands. It's located in the Bering Sea. St. Paul is the largest Pribilof Island in this remote volcanic island chain. All of the Aleutian Islands in the chain are actually the tips of a sub-oceanic mountain range. St. Paul is 14 miles long and 8 miles wide, with 45 miles of shoreline. A variety of sea mammals and sea birds have lived on the shores of this island for centuries. But perhaps even though it's famous for its animals and birds, the most interesting thing about St. Paul are its native people.
We're out here offshore from St. Paul Island, approximately a couple miles, and we're setting some longline gear for a halibut fishery. We have a small boat halibut fishery here on St. Paul Island, and we have a CDQ halibut fishery which we just finished up yesterday, and we have a little cleanup going on it. A few boats, 3 boats are cleaning up the CDQ halibut fishery. Some of us are fishing IFQs halibut.
Pribilof Islands. Been fishing with Phillip for about 6-7 years now.
Hi, my name is Maryann Bourdukofsky. I'm fishing here for Phillip on the Nisga'a. It's my first year fishing, so I'm learning as we go along.
We have a little window of opportunity here. The weather just calmed down this afternoon. It was blowing yesterday and last night. And we have to land our fish by 6 p.m. That's the NIMS regulations. So we're taking advantage of this few hours to try to set some gear and recover it, have a short soak. We're not very far offshore from the harbor due to the time constraint that we have today. So with some luck, we'll be able to get a few halibut.
A visit to St. Paul is highlighted by its rich cultural heritage. The Aleut community here is the largest in the world. The Aleuts were the first human inhabitants of the Aleutian Islands. It's believed that Aleut ancestors migrated over the land bridge between Asia and North America toward the end of the last ice age.
That's her and General Jake Lestenkof.
And by the time we were evacuated, I already had 2 children. And it was kind of hard.
Maryann Bourdukofsky is a local resident. She now resides in the new senior center on the island. She remembers an earlier time when life wasn't so comfortable. World War II, when Aleut people were evacuated from their homeland on the Aleutian Islands to southeast Alaska.
There was no beds, no nothing, no tables, no chairs, no nothing. So the people, the men got together, and from the boat they gave us single bed mattresses and army blankets and pillows, and of course they didn't issue out no bed seatings or nothing, or pillowcases, so it was bare mattress and pillow, and we managed somehow to live like that till winter come.
There's quite a bit of changes on the island, especially our livelihood has changed quite a bit. In my days I was raised with the wildlife off the island, and we were taught by our parents what was right and wrong on the island between us people and the school teachers. The way of life has changed quite a bit.
An egg. If a person who speaks English held this up and a person who speaks Aleut says that's samla, and the English speaking person says that's egg, then it gets written down as meaning egg in the English alphabet. But really samla means bird's son. That's cultural, environmental. We realize our culture is based on our environment, and therefore the language is as old as our people have been here, 10,000 years nearly. So if we want keys to how to understand this environment, we're going to have to speak the language too. If you're going to come in and visit, you need to understand a little bit about the language, which will help you to understand the environment. And that's one of the next projects we're looking at. Is
the Aleut people continue their old ways mixed with the new. The people here still eat their native delicacies like lusta, seal flippers. Our cameraman Chris Nelson was a good sport and sampled Dorothy Shablin's finest.
After the 4 months, they turn out like this. Come out of the water. Salted water, and they turn out like this. And this is what we call lusta, which is cut like our 5 fingers. Go down. And those are our flippers. You want to try a piece, Christopher? Huh?
Okay.
It's good. It is. It's just the way I make it every year. The best. Hang on, I'll cut you a piece. Go ahead, it's not going to kill you. And let me know what you think of it. You can eat it with bread, potatoes, boiled potatoes, boiled meat. It's just like what
It's good.
the other natives put, you know, like halibut heads in Bethel inside of the ground, and they bring it out when it's fermented and they eat it. But this one here tastes good and it's got the good smell. Have you smelled it? What is it? What do you think of it?
Well, it's pretty smelly.
But it's good, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one I cut is a lucky person who gets it because I don't feel like eating luster today. So another thing is this is what I all did for this winter: salt meat and flippers. Salt meat is the same way. We salt it and we wait like for 3 to 4 months to it, maybe longer, whoever, it depends on when you made it again. And it should look like this when you're done with it. This is the seal meat. This is what it should look like.
Let me get a close-up.
It looks good. In smaller pieces if you're going to make soup. And that's the way it looks inside of it. Doesn't it look good?
Yeah.
Boy, when we cook it,
Let me get it.
fix it. I tell you, this is the best Aleut food. No native can starve. This is our subsistence. Our way of saying our seals do not go to waste. Our birds do not go to waste. Nothing on the carcass goes to waste. There's something that we all do with it. And this is one of what we do, and it lasts us all winter long.
How'd you prepare it?
Well, paired with, well, sometimes I like bacon. Bacon, fried little cut pieces of bacon inside of my pan or my pot if I'm going to make stew out of it. That gives a flavor. And then you put sauce, salt, pepper, whatever you want to like. And that's one of our stinky oil made out of seal fur, seal skin, blubber, fat. And this is how it turns out if you take care of it very well.
It's super tight right there, and then it flares out. So it was very neat thing they did. It's Aleut's the only ones that did this.
Larry Stepetin, a local resident on St. Paul Island, is a commercial fisherman. He spends his time when he's not fishing making kayaks. It's an art, thankfully not lost. The Aleut people are famous for their beautiful design, their ingenious design of bidarkas and kayaks. And Larry Stepetin is helping keep that art alive.
And here, every boat had one of these to stick out the water. And get water in the boat occasionally. You just take it like that. And you suck up all the water and spray out of the boat.
A visit to the Pribilof Islands is a precious experience for anyone, Alaskans or outsiders. St. Paul is the largest Aleutian village in the world. No other area in the world can match the Bering Sea and the abundant bird species, the beautiful seal population, and the wonderful wildlife and flowers. And while one stands on the shore, you're carried back for centuries when ancestors of these residents were once slaves to Russian fur traders, brought here from their previous homeland. They now thrive and cling to their rocky terrain, blossoming like the local wildflowers. The genius of the adaptation of the Aleuts is inspiring. A hardy people in the most unique setting in the world.
We could live and survive on our own subsistence here without eating what the other Western people are eating. So I think we could survive on our own.
Thank
Thank you, everyone at St. Paul, Alaska, for your help in that story. Thank you, Air National Guard, for the transportation out there, and TDX Corporation. We appreciate your help very much. And videographer Chris Nelson, nice job. Next week, Chris Nelson brings us video from St. George, another of Pribilof Islands. For Heartbeat Alaska, I'm Jeannie Green. God bless you. Have a great week, and we'll see you again next week.
One of my relatives that died in Russia was Michael Shabolin in 1700s, and the other one was Dmitry Shabolin that died in Russia also in 1900. They called him a warrior. He was called a warrior down there, but I don't know what he was really. So it helps a lot to learn something about the island plus your family. Like now, maybe if life continues to change, it's going to be my language is really going away. I think I'm the last generation that speak the Aleut fluently, my generation anyway. Because everything else is being taught in school, and the kids don't have time, they say, to learn what you tell them. But they understand, but they won't speak it at times. I want to thank you for being here, and Heartbeat Alaska also. So welcome you to the island of St. Paul. And thank you for letting me tell you a story about the island a little bit here.
Do you want to say hello to Heartbeat Alaska in Aleutian?
Or in Aleut?
Yeah, Aleut.
Okay. Kamagala, Heartbeat Alaska. Wait, so Milan Tunoktakov. Willing tayo achtas na Tagaskok. I thank you, Heartbeat of Alaska, coming to St. Paul, and I thank you very much for having one of your people here to take a story off the island. Thank you very much.